Dave Hall, Canucks Army's prospect guru, who has been writing a ton at Canucks Army right now. You can go find his work at canucksarmy.com. Dave Hall joins us now. Dave, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on. What can you tell us here about the news? Rick Dhaliwal reporting that Jonathan Lekkerimäki is coming to Vancouver for 8 to 10 days.
Yeah, and it's about time. I feel like we've been dreaming of this day for ever since the news was originally brought up in December. So it's been a long time coming. It is somewhat interesting. 8 to 10 days. Abbotsford heads out on quite an extensive road trip here. They don't get back until I think the 1st or the 2nd of April. So given the timeline, this pretty much suggests that this is a Vancouver trip rather than an Abbotsford trip. I mean, I'm thinking maybe he starts the first couple days in Vancouver, gives him a chance to maybe practice with the squad, work with the coaching staff, check out the systems, basically just see what it's like to be on a playoff-bound NHL team, and then maybe in the second half join Abbotsford just to see see where his locker is going to be next year, and just figure out all the ropes down there. But it is interesting timing for sure.
So what are you expecting on this trip then? Like, is he just going to practice with the team? Is there a chance he gets into a game? Like, what are we looking at here?
I mean, look, he could play a game. I'm under the impression that as long as he stays under 10 games, his ELC slides. So, I mean, in theory, I think he could play a game. I'm, kind of tampering expectations, and I think it's more of a, get him over here, just show him the ropes, let him see what it's like to be around a playoff bound team, and just kind of get the systems down before he starts development camp next year. Look, this isn't much of a surprise. Patrick Allvin pretty much laid this plan out all the way back in January. Obviously, we were kind of hoping that we might see a little more, maybe he would just stay, but overall, we're not too surprised that this was ultimately, we knew that he wanted to play in the World Championships if it was a possibility. So I don't think he's going to get into a game. I just think it's more of a get over here and check out what's going on kind of thing.
Dave, you recently had a great article speaking about some potential NCAA free agent defenseman targets. First of all, how do you feel about this year's NCAA free agent class in general? Like, is it a stronger year? Is it a weaker year? And second, do you want to walk us through maybe one or two of your favorite targets and why they could be appealing for a team like the Canucks?
Yeah, so in I think it's a bit weaker. Like, I think if you're going for anyone, it's going to be, a lot of the guys that I mentioned were a bit on the older side, pretty much polished defensemen that you pretty much know what you're going to get with. A lot of defensive defensemen that you're pretty much just kind of hoping in for, almost a Cole McWard kind of slot in, maybe even a little less upside than Cole McWard, to be honest. So nothing special. There is one player that I was particularly high on pretty much all season. I wrote the forward crop a couple months ago, and I actually planned to do the defenseman not too long ago, but not too long after. But because I wasn't too high on them, I just wanted to wait and see. But one player that I was particularly interested in happened to play on the same team as the recent signing of the Canucks, which is Christian Felton, and that's Zach Bookman. He's he's a bit on the younger side. I think he'll probably go back to college, to be honest, just because of that. But he's a bit of a smaller defenseman, but just super. He had 102 points in the Alberta League 2 years ago, so he's just a dynamic offensive defenseman.
Did we lose Dave?
Oh,
I think we lost Dave. Great. Yeah. Oh, he's lagging.
I'm lagging.
I can hear you at least now.
Can you?
Yeah, now I can. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Continue.
I'll just keep going. I'm not sure what's happening. Sorry about that, guys.
That's okay. Continue.
Zach Bookman. So he had 102 points in the Alberta League 2 years ago, and overall, I mean, obviously he's an undrafted defenseman, so temper expectations. But in terms of this crop, he's pretty exciting on the back end. He's a smaller guy, skates really well, and can make a lot of plays very positively. So he's one guy that I'm keeping my eyes on big time. But aside from that, you're kind of looking at the more older, defensive defenseman kind of guy.
I like the name Bookman because it reminds me of the Seinfeld episode. The Bookman. That's a what was it called? No, the library book. That was the episode. Okay, sorry, I'm getting off topic here. Dave, you're writing about this now, not to spill the article early, because I think it's gonna come out either this evening or tomorrow morning. expectations for Elias Pettersson, the defenseman, and John Lekkerimäki. You talked about Lekkerimäki a little bit here, but can you just touch on those two players a little bit more?
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what you said, that Bookman, that scene was just one of the best scenes in the whole show. So kudos to you for bringing that up. But yeah, so look, with Lekkerimäki, I mean, it's pretty obvious. You can get really excited here and, hope that he's going to be a top line 40-goal scorer, which, look, he's got that nasty shot. There could be a world where he does slot in and find lightning in a bottle next to Elias Pettersson maybe and scores 40. But I think realistically, you're probably looking at a 25 to 30 goal scorer, and a good one too. Like he's obviously he's got that shot, but over the year we've really seen him, at least try to get into the middle of the ice, do what he can to create a little bit more plays. He's been a bit of a hound on the forecheck, so we do like what we've seen in that aspect. But overall, it's going to be a big jump for him. It's one thing to do that at the SHL level, but the defenseman's going to be a little more stingy, way more aggressive, and their gaps are just going to be much better. So he's going to have to get pretty creative in finding new ways to get around those nuances of the defenseman in the NHL to score at the level he has at the SHL level. And look, even at the SHL level, it's not like he's scoring 40 goals there either. So, I think overall you're probably looking at a 25 to 30 goal scorer, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think he can definitely complement the top six quite nicely. I've also been a little bit worried that the play driving at the NHL level, I'm just not really sure will be there. His most assists at any level was in the J20, and it was 15 assists. So obviously, he's not really driving a lot of plays and making tons of plays out there. But I think overall top six. Now, in terms of Elias Pettersson, and I think Cam Robinson, who you had on last week, kind of touched on this, and I completely agree, where I actually think he's going to have a bit of an easier time transitioning. Obviously, the speed is going to be a bit of a difference, but he's just one of those rough and tough kind of guys. He plays like a dog on a bone, and I just think overall, in terms of what you're going to be looking at for him in the expectations for next year, I think he's just going to do a pretty solid job at just being that shutdown, penalty-killing defenseman for the Abbotsford Canucks. And I do want to reiterate Abbotsford Canucks.
All right, you wrote about 6 Canucks prospects that are gearing up for an NCAA Conference Championship this weekend, or push toward the Conference Championship this weekend. What's going on in prospect land?
Yeah, so big weekend. We got 6 of them. Actually, 2 of the games are going on as we speak, and to be honest, I'm expecting BC, so Boston College and Boston University, to both kind of push past their games today and meet in the finals tomorrow. So that's going to be pretty exciting. Tom Willander. It wouldn't be an upset. They're facing Maine, and they're pretty. They got some pretty good skill. They got the 2 Nadeau boys who played in for Penticton last year. They're quite skilled, so they could ultimately face a loss, but I think it'll probably be BC versus BU tomorrow, and that'll be a really fun and exciting matchup for Canucks prospects. And then you just got guys like Ty Mueller and Jackson Coons, who actually has already scored today. By the way, it's 1-0 for North Dakota. And then we got Jacob Truscott. That's also he'll be facing with Michigan in the finals already. So,
Dave, I remember watching Aiden McDonough at Penticton Young Stars and thinking to myself, boy, he's so dominant. I expect him to go down to Abbotsford and be a top 6 fixture. And that hasn't quite materialized yet, but he's been racking up some points lately. What have you seen in terms of him starting to find his footing and producing a lot more lately?
Yeah, I mean, we say it time and time again, confidence is a hell of a drug, and all he needed was to get a few in there, and it was kind of nice. They finally threw him on with Archdeep Baines, who seems to be one of those guys that if you're struggling, throw him on Baines' line, and something typically starts to happen. So that's exactly what's happened. He's finally shooting the puck. That's one thing that we all knew coming into this year that was going to be his big thing. He's a trigger man. He needs to shoot the puck, and we just weren't seeing it at all. He was very stationary. We knew coming in that skating was going to be an issue, and it has been, but overall, he's just looking a lot more confident with the plays that he's making out there. And last but not least, the most important thing is he's just shooting. That's he just needs to shoot the puck and get some goals in, which he has, and things are going to start happening for him. So it's definitely been a nice stretch here in the past couple of weeks to see McDonough, because from what we saw before these last 2 weeks, it was, it was getting a little dicey there. He is expiring, so we were kind of wondering what would happen with that. But so far, or lately, he's been showing some life, which is definitely nice.
Dave, good stuff as always, man. Appreciate you taking the time, and we will chat with you hopefully next week. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Sorry about the video there.
No, it's okay. The chat's loving it. You're staying incredibly still, is what the chat's saying.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay.
Awesome, Dave. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Have a good one, guys.
Canucks Conversation is live Monday through Friday, every weekday at 2 p.m. over on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and interact in the YouTube live chat every day with us, folks.